Our speaker today is Tom Baker. You know, few people realize how many forms and versions and languages the Christian Bible has taken over the centuries. First, there was the Septuagint, the earliest extant Greek translation of the books from the Hebrew Scriptures. Then there was the Vetus Latina in Latin, a collection of scripts by various translators. By the 4th century, they'd been compiled into the Vulgate, written in the common Latin language of the people at that time. Then, in English, we have the Tyndale Bible, the Coverdale Bible, and finally the King James Version of 1611. See, some things take a few iterations before they're just right. Tom Baker has served as a professional counselor, teacher of A Course in Miracles, and Roman Catholic priest. It took a few iterations to create the Tom Baker we know and love today. So please welcome our friend, our brother, our teacher, Tom Baker.
Thank you, Lloyd. That was great. Well, one Christmas season when I was in college, I played Santa Claus. I was Santa Claus at the Louisville Zoo. And despite my lack of girth, I was a pretty good Santa Claus. With a belt, I strapped a pillow around my waist, so I was reasonably chubby. It was a much more fascinating experience than I had expected. For the first time in my life, I was playing the part of a myth. The myth of Santa Claus is to a great degree the myth of a jolly God who will give you what you want if you behave. Children think that when they get what they want, they will be happy. Child after child stood in line to sit on my lap. Most of them did not have lists, and they were very nervous. Squirmy, shy, and their teeth were often green. I have never figured this out, but they had little green edges around their teeth. The dental condition of children in the Americas are not very good. But anyway, I began to realize that many of them thought I was really Santa Claus and were a bit overawed to be in my presence. I also realized that I had enormous power in their minds as one who held the secret to their happiness. I was very careful about what I said. I was really careful about what I promised. And at no time did I make fun of the myth they held so tightly. Yes, I assured them, if you've been a nice rather than naughty, if you've been the child Santa Claus wants you to be, then I will consider your requests. I was very formal about this. But it was a bit spooky how much visits with Santa Claus were like hearing confessions. Forgive me, Father, and get me what I want. We all still hold the belief that something outside of ourselves will make us happy. We all have the belief, especially at Christmas, that when I get something or when something happens, I will finally be happy. One Christmas when I was about 8, a toy filling station was the gift that I thought would make me happy. When I came down the stairs, there it was under my tree. My happiness. Now I was so amazed at what happened. I yelled out, "Christmas, Christmas, it's Christmas. I've got what I want, the gas station. Oh boy, wonderful." And it startled my sister, and she fell down right smack on the gas station and crushed it flat. It was made of tin, so she just made a tin pancake out of that gas station. And I lunged at my sister, trying to kill her, I guess. It's been a great Christmas, wasn't it? Brother murder sister over gas station. But my father caught me. He grabbed me and put me on his lap. And he told me in no uncertain terms that sisters were more valuable than gas stations, that sisters were not toys. They were priceless and irreplaceable. That the best gifts we have are our family, and our family could not be replaced. What my father was trying to tell me was something he himself probably did not believe. What he was implying when he rescued my sister from my wrath was that in my family I already had what I needed. I was loved, and that was enough. Filling stations, Lincoln Logs, erector sets, and electric trains were my being loved on my own lonely terms. In other words, when love is forgotten, greed takes center stage in our minds. That's why in Buddhism, the greatest error is not pride, but greed. When we give up or forget about love, we feel an emptiness. We turn to stuff to fill us up and make us happy. Now, what if we are already loved? What if we are already happy? Just take that into mind. You're sitting there in your big coats, kind of safe against the wind and the cold, and you think, if only I could have this, if only I could have that, then I would be happy. Well, think for a minute, maybe you are happy. Maybe happiness is something you've forgotten. Maybe happiness is something you've misplaced. Christmas is the season when we turn to any and everyone and call them sister or see them as brother. This is the time of the year when we listen to our souls, which remind us that we have been together lifetime after lifetime, trying to remember the love we have for each other. Sometimes I have the experience of standing before a group of people I've never or seldom seen, and I see them as oddly familiar. Have you ever had this experience? To be with people and all of a sudden you kind of know them. You don't know their names, you don't know their history, you haven't been with them very much, but somehow they're familiar. They're people that we've seen before or known before. At those times of recognition, I feel an overwhelming affection for all those people. I think that when the shepherds and wise men came to the makeshift maternity ward in a Bethlehem stable, their amazement was the result of the child looking like their child. Mary reminding them of their mothers, Joseph reminding them of their fathers, or at least the holy version of their children and mothers and fathers. A Course in Miracles asks us to see others not as special or as ordinary, not as naughty or nice, but to see each person, despite behavior and appearances, as holy. Confused and holy. Mentally ill and holy. Addicted and holy. Poor and holy. Disfigured and holy. Untrustworthy and holy. You name it, and holy. Holy means to see in each face the face of Christ. To see the face of Christ and in each person's yearning to be loved, the desire to know themselves as holy. When Jesus healed and forgave and told his stories about God in us, he brought people home to their holiness. The quest to remember our holiness did not last long in Christianity, but was quickly replaced by being good and going to heaven as a reward. Pretty much Jesus as Santa Claus, giving the nice what they deserved. Yet there are notable exceptions to this spiritual mediocrity. Kathy and I, my wife, saw a WHRO presentation on Lourdes. It was about the maimed and the disfigured, wounded warriors visiting Lourdes, hoping for a cure to make them whole again. Most of the wounded warriors, after spending a week at Lourdes, praying and singing and bathing in the healing waters, felt they had a new and hopeful outlook on the world. But one man impressed me particularly. He was a big African-American man who had been shot in the mouth and had plastic surgery to make him look presentable, but still he was rather disfigured. He had been a strikingly handsome man before his wounding. Looking in the mirror was now a challenge and a disappointment for him. He practiced no faith, but was curious about Lourdes. On the last day, when everyone was giving testimonials, this man rose to his feet, his voice breaking with tears. He looked over the group and said, "Your smiles are my religion." Then he shook with sobs. Years of shame and pain and embarrassment expressing themselves as the group stood and applauded. Many were smiling. All were acknowledging his holiness. At last I thought, he knows he is loved just as he is. The real Christmas story is not just the story of Bethlehem and Jesus and Mary and the shepherds and the wise men. It's a story about being loved just for who we are. Jesus loving the tax collector Zacchaeus and going home to have dinner with him. Jesus loving Mary Magdalene and taking away her shame by respecting and honoring her. Jesus the Christ child making every humble home a sacred place. And simply Jesus himself touching the divine in people, which woke them up to their immense beauty, and in their center, their perfect holiness. Merry Christmas.